the Formula One world has erupted in strong reaction following the recent clash between Verstappen and Russell. It's becoming increasingly clear that the Dutchman is facing a wave of criticism that may linger for quite some time. Given that similar incidents occurred last year in Proximate, Budapest, and Qatar, one must ask, will Verstappen change his approach sooner rather than later? But more pressing is the response from the paddock. How are fellow drivers and team bosses interpreting this latest controversy in Barcelona? Now that the dust has settled and emotions have cooled, Verstappen's behavior can be examined with a sharper, more objective lens. Nearly every driver on the grid has weighed in on the matter. And it wasn't just Lando Norris's cheeky Mario Kart jab in the cool-down room that caught attention. Charles Leclerc also had a heated exchange with Verstappen on track, brief, but with visible contact between the two. Overall, Verstappen's driving style has once again ignited a passionate debate within the F1 community. Norris, in particular, didn't hold back. During an interview with Sky Sports, he was asked if Verstappen was setting a good example for younger fans watching and learning from karting. Lando paused and said, "That's not for me to say, you know the answer." When the interviewer replied, "I think I do, but I can't say it," Norris added, "Neither can I." The rivalry between Norris and Verstappen has intensified, especially since last season. Austria, for many, marked the boiling point. Norris later admitted he expected Max to apologize after that controversial race, but the apology never came. It became a hard lesson for Lando, who now understands how grueling it is to compete for a title against someone like Verstappen. Still, none of that excuses any form of reckless contact or aggressive lunges into opponents. George Russell was particularly vocal, expressing frustration that a four-time world champion should have shown better judgment. According to Russell, that decision cost both him and his team valuable championship points. Speaking candidly, Russell remarked, "I have no idea what he was thinking. All I know is that I ended up finishing fourth, and he was down in 10th. His verdict? A totally unnecessary move. To be completely honest, the move seemed highly intentional. It's the kind of tactic I've seen countless times in sim racing and on platforms like e-racing, but never at the elite level of Formula One. It was something entirely out of place. That's what makes it so disappointing. Max is widely considered one of the most skilled drivers on the planet, yet actions like these set a poor standard for young drivers dreaming of reaching F1. It reflects badly on the sport." George Russell also spoke out, touching on Nico Rosberg's recent remarks about whether Verstappen should have faced a race ban for what happened. Russell was cautious not to sound overly critical, but he made his stance clear. If Max truly acted with intent, then a one-race suspension would be absolutely justified. After all, F1 drivers put their lives on the line every time they strap into the cockpit. To see Verstappen behave that way raised serious questions about his sportsmanship and long-term legacy. Even Toto Wolff, long considered a quiet admirer of Max's raw talent, had something to say. The Mercedes boss admitted he had only just learned that Verstappen was instructed by his team to yield position. "I wasn't aware," he said. "During the race, we thought he had car issues, especially coming out of turn 4, where he looked really slow. If this was a case of road rage, which I find hard to believe because it was so blatant, then it's simply not acceptable. The real issue is, I don't know what his plan was. Was he trying to let George through just to immediately repass him, pushing George into traffic like in those old DRS tricks? If so, it's a poor look." Wolff concluded that no matter what Verstappen's intentions were, they sent the wrong message. That kind of behavior doesn't belong in the sport. Yet the Mercedes principal also acknowledged that some of the greatest drivers in history have done similar things in the heat of the moment. It's often why drivers like Verstappen feel misunderstood or targeted. It's compelling to hear that perspective from a man who watched the dramatic and controversial showdown between Max and Hamilton in Abu Dhabi back in 2021. 4 years later, Wolff's tone seems more reflective, perhaps even softer. Christian Horner, on the other hand, defended Red Bull's actions, stating that the team anticipated a potential penalty against Max and responded accordingly. From their viewpoint, the decision to instruct Verstappen was tactical, even if the execution didn't play out cleanly. As I've discussed in this video, Verstappen ignored a direct team order. Whether or not you agree with that instruction, it must be respected. No individual is above the team, not even the reigning champion. Before the major clash with Russell, Verstappen had another tense moment on the main straight. There was minor contact between him and Charles Leclerc. But according to Charles, what Max did was nothing out of the ordinary. It was standard racing behavior. "He made a mistake exiting the final corner," said Leclerc. "I got alongside him. He tried to push me toward the dirty side of the track, which is exactly what I would have done too. Once I had more speed, I tried to slipstream a bit. I was okay with making a small move on the first attempt, but not the second. That's the fine line between light contact and none at all. In the end, this is racing. I don't think it was anything out of line." What's particularly intriguing is that this isn't the first clash between Russell and Verstappen. They had already locked horns back in 2024. And while they might not be direct title rivals yet, the upcoming regulatory changes could easily bring them into direct conflict in the near future. What remains clear is that Verstappen's actions in Barcelona may have deserved a far harsher penalty than a mere 10-second time add-on. Many believe a stiffer punishment was warranted, and that this incident won't be forgotten any time soon. But let's rewind to Baku in 2017. We witnessed a very similar scenario. Lewis Hamilton tested Sebastian Vettel's brakes before a safety car restart, which triggered Vettel to pull alongside and deliberately nudge him, eerily similar to what Verstappen did to Russell. Vettel received a 10-second stop-and-go penalty for that maneuver. So, let's not exaggerate and pretend Verstappen tried to take Russell out of the race. Yes, his actions weren't the epitome of sportsmanship, but if we go back and review some of the most aggressive moments from Schumacher or Hamilton's careers, we'll find plenty of parallels in terms of on-track conduct. This isn't about excusing Verstappen's behavior. We all know who he is and what kind of driver he's been from day one. He's not going to roll over. If you want that position, you'll have to fight for it. And in fairness, Verstappen had every right to hold his ground into turn 1. Even the official FIA document confirms it. Car number 1 was ahead at the apex, and there was no reason to investigate further. Now imagine being at the top of the motorsport world, with everything on the line, and your team suddenly instructs you to do something you don't believe in. You've won races, you've earned titles, you've built your legacy, and now the team falters in a critical moment. That's a tough pill to swallow. Still, Max handled it with composure and issued an apology to Russell and the wider F1 community. Though, let's be honest, many were skeptical about how sincere that apology truly was. He also made it clear he wasn't too concerned with public opinion or with Russell's comments. Yet in a recent Instagram post, Verstappen reflected on the incident. "We had an exciting strategy and a solid race in Barcelona until the safety car came out. Our tire call until the end and a few moves after the restart fueled my frustration, which led to a decision that was wrong and shouldn't have happened. I always push hard for the team, and sometimes emotions run high. We win and lose together. See you in Montreal." Your first thought might be, well played, PR team. But truthfully, Verstappen doesn't owe anyone an apology just for standing his ground. We've all seen what he can do. What he needs now is to refine how he reacts in heated moments, especially when his team makes questionable calls. If they told him to let Russell through, and he disagreed, perhaps there was more context than we knew at the time. Sure, hindsight tells us Red Bull got it wrong. Max was clearly ahead at the apex, and his recovery onto the track was legal. But prior to that corner incident, there was light contact on the main straight. Russell attempted to squeeze him from the side, trying to make the most of the chaos. You can't expect a driver like Verstappen to act like a backmarker and just wave everyone by in a scenario like that. Next time, he might think twice. because with 11 penalty points on his super license, he's now just one infraction away from a race ban. Despite insisting he's not in this year's title fight, Verstappen won't go down quietly. And Russell, of all people, should have known what he was walking into. But honestly, even if he did, what could he have done differently to stop Verstappen's move? Probably nothing. So now the question lands on you. What's your final take on the Verstappen-Russell clash? Do you think the four-time world champion deserves stricter sanctions for future run-ins like this one? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And once you've done that, don't forget to click on the next video that's waiting for you right here on the screen.